Welcome to the Levine Science Research Center. This splendid new research and teaching facility is in a very real sense a building without walls. The Levine Center was constructed specifically to break down walls between disciplines, students, and teachers. The decision to build this $80 million facility was both bold and visionary. It carried with it both risk and opportunity. But the trustees, the faculty, and the leaders of Duke University believe that the Levine Center is essential for ensuring Duke's national and international leadership in science, medicine, and engineering. In the Levine Center Research and Teaching Laboratories, faculty and students from many fields are working together on some of our society's biggest challenges, finding a cure for AIDS or Alzheimer's disease or cancer, putting together elegant computer models to tackle some of our most significant environmental problems. I hope that you will join with us in supporting this most exciting venture into the 21st century of education and research.
More than 24,000 cubic yards of concrete and 3,600 tons of steel in the foundation alone, a total building area the equivalent of 7 football fields. The Leon Levine Science Research Center at Duke University, the largest interdisciplinary research and education project of its kind in the country. But the real foundation of the Levine Science Research Center isn't the bricks and mortar, it's the people who work inside. Faculty, staff, and students launching bold experiments to understand a myriad of scientific puzzles, working in a building without walls. You could say that Rich DiGiulio is a fisherman of sorts.
These are channel catfish. They're a classic southern species of fish. This is the species that you eat when you order catfish in any restaurant.
But DiGiulio's interest in catfish has nothing to do with down-home cooking. The School of the Environment professor is interested in the effects of pollution on fish.
We've worked with 2 species of catfish, one, the channel catfish here, and another related species, the brown bullhead or mudcat. The mudcat turns out to be very sensitive to cancer in polluted areas, whereas the channel catfish appears to be real resistant. So we're trying to understand why that difference exists.
In his research, DiGiulio also has found that changes in the internal makeup of catfish can signal harmful pollutants in water that until now have been undetectable, and that will help to develop sensitive techniques for establishing water quality. Because his work deals with both basic and applied science, DiGiulio says the Levine Science Research Center, with its mix of disciplines, is the ideal place to work and has generated excitement for his undergraduate and graduate students.
Our old facilities had been compared by others to Louis Pasteur facilities. So it greatly enhances the efficiency of our work, just makes for a much more positive work environment. And I think particularly the sort of work we do benefits greatly from our positioning next to other like scientists. Already the graduate students particularly have reaped great benefits from the techniques that are just down the hall now.
You never know what you might see inside a laboratory. From a distance, a beaker appears to contain some exotic mixture. On closer examination, one discovers that inside that glass are soybeans, vigorously bubbling to encourage germination. Such is the stuff that botany research is made of. Like a doctor trying to solve the mystery of human diseases, Professor James Cito studies the disease process in plants. And even though he's interested in soybeans and corn, you won't see any tall green stalks growing in his laboratory. Botany has advanced to the point where plant structures can be created in a small dish. In fact, biological research is extremely sophisticated today, and Cito now has the facilities to support it.
The space is designed to do mid-1990s research. The BioSci building was built in the late 1950s, and Lord knows when it was designed. Some people say it was as early as 1930, but nevertheless, it simply wasn't designed for the kind of technology-intensive research that we do.
And Cito says the building has made quite an impression on his students.
It's almost a psychological thing, but it's a very real thing in terms of their perception that this is great, that they can be over here working in these labs, doing research, you know, in these really modern, totally new facilities, and they just love it.
You don't need special glasses to get a clear picture of the kind of work Olaf von Ram is doing.
We're trying to develop the real-time three-dimensional ultrasound where we can see, for example, a large portion of the fetus at one time and may even be able to see its entire face and see what it looks like before it's born. Our intent is to develop particularly this technique for applications in the heart.
Von Ram wears two hats at the Levine Science Research Center, one as the director of the Duke National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center for Emerging Cardiovascular Technologies, and the other as a researcher in diagnostic ultrasound. He says the new facilities at the Levine Science Research Center allow him to interact with students and colleagues who before were spread across the campus and medical center.
And really, it becomes more productive that way if you're close to the people that you work with and that do the research. If they have questions, they can come by. And so I think it's a very important thing to be together. The personality of the building, that's an interesting question. I think it's modern in the sense that it is, on the one hand, not sterile, but functional. So it, I think, is a good integrative effort. I think people are happy in this new building.
By the year 2000, cancer will be the nation's #1 killer. Robert Bell, the former director of Duke's Comprehensive Cancer Center and now an adjunct professor, is trying to do something to change that. He's been working with a multidisciplinary team of researchers at the Levine Science Research Center who are joining together to contribute a piece to the immensely complex puzzle of cancer.
As you know, diseases really don't respect any traditional disciplinary boundaries. So accordingly, it's important to have a group of individuals that are the advocate for understanding these proliferative controls. This, in fact, is really one of the hottest areas in all of molecular biology. And understanding these regulation systems will allow us to develop better diagnostics, new means to prevent cancer, and new rationales to cure cancer.
Bell says the description of the Levine Science Research Center as a building without walls is an appropriate one.
Oh, definitely. For example, the two departments that are in the medical center space of LSRC are pharmacology and molecular cancer biology. Importantly, we share the intermediate landings where people gather for lunch and for coffee and for discussions. So this is the first time we've actually lived side by side to one another.
What do frogs and clams have in common? Well, it's true that you'll find both near water, but in the molecular cancer biology department at the Levine Science Research Center, the eggs and embryos of these two animals are being used by Assistant Professor Catherine Swenson to study the proteins and processes that lead to cell division.
And the idea is that if we can understand these steps and how they occur normally, then we have a much better chance of understanding how these individual steps might be working in an abnormal way in cells that are growing out of control, such as the cell types that you find in cancer.
If Swenson and her colleagues can figure out how abnormal cells grow out of control, the door will be open to the development of drugs that can stop cancer. Swenson says it's an exhilarating prospect.
Almost every day when I get up, I think how lucky I am to be doing what I want, what I am doing, because it's a continuous challenge. You know, you never know, you don't know what the answers are going to be, but it's very fun to try to design experiments to find out the answers, and those always lead you to other types of questions.
I read an exciting book when I was an undergraduate student, which was back in the 1950s, called Design for a Brain by W. Ross Ashby. So I've been interested in what is in the brain, what are the mechanisms that enable us to think and function and succeed and learn, adapt, and so forth. And it's been a driving force for my whole life and always will be.
Using his knowledge of what's in the brain, computer science professor Alan Bierman has created a computer that can carry on a conversation.
This is the Circuit Fix-It shop. How may I help you?
I want to fix a circuit.
We've built systems in which students can come in and repair electric circuits, for example, even though they know nothing about repairing electric circuits. But they can sit there and they can talk to a computer, and the computer will respond back to them in a fairly, well, computerish way, I guess.
In the next 10 to 20 years, Bierman believes that part of a regular day will include comfortably talking to computers in our cars, over the phone, at work, and at home. And he's excited at the prospect of working on that future technology at the Levine Science Research Center.
It enables us to function in a way which we were simply not able to do before and could not hope to in our old building.
The Levine Science Research Center is bringing together a diverse array of faculty, obviously excited about the potential the facility has for them and for their Duke students.
Oh, the space is great. Every room, in fact, has the large windows, which lets in the natural light, and that's made an incredible difference.
Developmental biology, cell and molecular biology, and structural biology are simply where biology is today. And to be able to have 3 labs where they go in and do the hands-on kind of research in a formal course experience, if you will, but nonetheless a small group, they do the work kind of experience is just, I think, is going to be great. And the building will allow us to do that. Our
greatest goal is to non-invasively see the coronary arteries in a patient non-traumatically with ultrasound. That would be my fondest dream.
I think that if the work from this department leads to a significant prevention, diagnostic, or cure for one of the present forms of cancer that cannot be effectively treated, that would be totally worthwhile.
So it's a wonderful thing to be in a beautifully designed building and have a wide variety of people of different interests and background in close proximity.
Breaking down the walls between students, teachers, researchers, and disciplines, defining the shape of 21st century learning and discovery. The Levine Science Research Center at Duke University.